In the high-stakes world of Blue Lock, where individualism and ego reign supreme, the re-entrance of Nagi Seishiro could be seen as controversial.
While Nagi's return may appear to heighten Japan's chances at winning the U20 World Cup, it also disrupts the balance of development and expectations that Jinpachi Ego established within the program.
Nagi's possible re-entry raises some questions about fairness, motivation, and what's expected from these players moving on to the next stage. As Blue Lock continues to push these players beyond their limits, Nagi's reappearance could undermine a lot of the integrity of the system and the personal growth of players who earned their spot in the first place.
With that, let's take a look at what's been happening in Nagi's arc and all the things that are leading up to what appears to be his reintroduction into the story of Blue Lock.
Nagi Seishiro was once viewed as a god on the field. Everyone in Blue Lock saw him as this genius with immense potential. At one point, it wasn't crazy to believe that Nagi could rival anyone, but this all changed once he entered the Neo-Egoist League.
Throughout his time with Manshine City, Nagi's performance was abysmal to say the least. No one expected him to burn out like this, and he was just a shell of his former self. He was just not producing on the level that we were used to seeing from him.
After producing that fluke goal with Reo's help against Isagi and Bayern Munich in the first match, it was clear that Nagi started to enter a downward spiral in terms of development. After producing that golazo, Ego noticed that this could never be done again and it lacked reproducibility.
Since Nagi's entrance into Blue Lock, Ego has always questioned Nagi's drive and ego, and correctly predicted that he would eventually hit a wall. And with the result of Barca versus Manshine City, Nagi has lost every match in his NEL campaign. We had hoped that Nagi would finally tap into his ego and show the world why he deserves a spot to represent Japan.
However, ever since joining Manshine City, the Nagi and Reo codependent relationship kept happening and was ultimately destroying Nagi's potential. The most interesting thing about this partnership is that it eventually became the nail in the coffin for Nagi's success.
Now that Nagi and Reo are playing at such a high level, their obvious plays were being shut down, and the two of them were exposed by much more talented players.
During their first match against Bayern Munich, we mentioned that Ego made a comment saying it was a fluke, and that Nagi's deep ego is about to be tested. It was ultimately correct, because Nagi flat out says that he can't picture himself being the best striker in the world because of their current situation.
And after that loss to Ubers, Nagi and Reo finally decided that they needed to grow as individuals in order to have a chance at joining the U20 team. Their match against Barca begins, and with the risk of elimination, Nagi and Reo are determined to act more like team players and make the best plays for Manshine City. But Nagi is still trying to find his rhythm in this match. He declares that he can't rely on Reo anymore, and he doubles down on this by saying Reo doesn't have to pass to him, and he won't pass to him either, declaring that he will win without Reo's help.
The game restarts and Nagi is actually taking football seriously. He steals the ball from Barca and then instantly cooks a few players, showing his potential and his great touch. After Nagi moves up the field, he's met by Otoya, who is now stopping Nagi's momentum.
This is where we see Nagi panic. It seems like Otoya will steal the ball and Nagi thinks it all over. He can't score from here and his fire is slowly vanishing. That's until Reo comes into the picture screaming for Nagi's attention. Even after that self-declaration of playing on his own, Nagi just can't help himself. He's just scared of losing and decides to pass the ball to Reo.
And then out of nowhere, Batra comes into the picture and he steals the ball that was intended for Reo. He declares that Nagi isn't strong enough to become an egoist. From here, Batra starts a counterattack and he seamlessly moves in between players and passes the ball with his own teammates. He moves up the field and gets in a great position to shoot the ball and ultimately win the game for FC Barca, scoring the game-winning goal and destroying Nagi in the process.
It is now official that Manshine City loses and Nagi ruins his final chance at joining the U20 team, or so we thought.
It's very interesting because after seeing Nagi continue to fail in the Neo-Egoist League, he is steadily being mentioned even after the tournament being concluded. We even see him have a whole solo chapter. It really just makes me think, why are we spending so much time on an eliminated player? We've never seen this from other players, so why are we seeing such a big dedication to Nagi?
One of the things that actually stuck out to me, right before he's actually sent back home, we see a whole sequence of Ego just absolutely tearing into Nagi and just showing his absolute disappointment in the striker he's become. And it makes you think, maybe Ego really felt very highly about Nagi.
I think it could be one or two things. I think Ego could feel vindicated for all of his thoughts about Nagi, about his weak ego, and how he's just been running around through life very half-assed. This could be vindication for what he's always thought about him. And then I think you could also be right about how he's overall just disappointed in Nagi. It's another level of disappointment when you see a player of Nagi's caliber not live up to his standards. And in the football world, you see a lot of great potential in youngsters as well, especially. Never see them live up to their potential and kind of fall flat. You just see what could have have been, and Nagi could be just one of those great what-if players.
But as you said, we get a whole solo chapter of just Nagi back at home. We see that he's just absolutely depressed. This is something we usually don't see with other players. Usually when they're written off, it's just that, you know, we don't see anything else after that. There's a chance that there possibly could be some hope for Nagi returning to the series.
Why else would they show us so much about Nagi after the NEL? I think Nagi's actually learning his own mistakes. He's seeing how life just feels empty without Blue Lock and without the thrill of something that motivates him, which was ultimately one of his biggest issues. He never had something that motivated him. He was living half-assed completely. Maybe this is what Nagi needed to reach despair and actually help him crawl up and become a great player again.
I definitely think that's possible. I don't think Nagi has really felt any real consequence for his actions up until this point. As for a player like him, everything has always come easy to him. He's been able to just absolutely, walk all over players since the beginning of Blue Lock. It was truly in the NEL where he truly got tested as an individual. But as the story is just progressing, we even see the Japan football chairman even questioning, like, why would you even cut Nagi? Everyone's on the internet saying, let's bring back Nagi. The chairman really wants Nagi back on the team.
That was a very important conversation to me. Like, seeing a debate where tensions even flare up between these two, talking about Nagi coming back or him not coming back, it seems like they're trying to find a way just to bring him back in any way possible. This whole conversation makes me think that there's two potential ways that Nagi could get back in if he does come back into the scene. Maybe someone gets injured and they have to call him back in, or they make space for him and the Japan U20 chairman makes a way that where one extra player can join the team, and that way they just give that spot to Nagi. Or something more down the line, what if Japan loses the U20 World Cup and Nagi works his way back up into the footballing world and Nagi joins the Japan team, like the adult team, and he represents them for the real World Cup where he can actually play a factor and get his whole redemption arc through hard work and dedication, which would ultimately fix his character as well.
I could definitely see a world where that happens. My only main concern with this, and why we started this entire video off by saying that it could be controversial, is that in a world where Nagi is brought back due to plot, can his character truly recover from that? The whole reason this even happens is because Nagi never faced any true consequence for his half-assed action. So him being brought back on the team would only reinforce that and probably make him feel like he doesn't have to actually work to get what he wants. That's just my take.
I see what you mean, Lotus, but at the same time, you did also say that Nagi going down this phase and feeling despair and noticing that he does have consequences for his actions now, maybe him experiencing this emptiness might actually push him to that level, especially now that he sees Isagi at such a high stage, and his whole thing is about defeating Isagi. I also still agree with you though that him being voted in or just brought in isn't going to be great for his development still though. He might realize his consequences, but he still doesn't have the skill, which is why I'm more leaning towards him coming in at a later point in the future, if anything, because I think you are right. Him just coming into the story right off a vote or just a gimme spot won't really do him too well because he still needs to fix his skill and his mentality. But who really knows what's going to happen, because there's still about 45 days left in the Blue Lock world until the U20 World Cup, and a lot of things could happen in between then for Nagi and any other players.
Personally, I would love to see Nagi on the Japan U20 team. He's always been this sensational player since the beginning of Blue Lock and overall fan favorite in the community. I would really love to see really high level play from this character once again. I'm dying to see just another Nagi highlight because it's been a very long time. I still think he has a lot of potential as a player. I mean, he showcased it so many times on so many different levels. Yes, the NEL was a chance to earn the spot, but after this point, if you're trying to bring him back onto the team, something needs to happen where he truly needs to work and earn a spot.
And the fact that the spin-off will be ending soon as well, it leaves a big question mark on Nagi's character, because the series ending could mean either Nagi's cooked or that Nagi might have a potential storyline in the main plot. I'm really looking forward to seeing what Kaneshiro does with these next 45 days before the U20 World Cup. Please let us know in the comment section about what you guys think will happen, because anything could happen.
And how do you guys personally feel about the possibility of Nagi returning back to the story? And as always, if you did enjoy the video, please consider giving a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. And as always, we do have a link to our community Discord, and that link can be found in the description of this video below.
Thank you for sticking to the end. It's Tev.
And it's Lotus.
Peace.